This is most welcome. It's really hot. Blimey. I'll let it cool down a bit. Hi, it's Graham here. I've been lucky enough to get myself out for another wild camp. Yeah, lucky. I've been accused of spending too much on camping gear, mainly by my wife, but to be fair, that's because I spend too much on camping gear. So to address these accusations, I thought I'd spend a bit more on camping gear. I gave myself £100 budget and I wanted to get all the gear I needed to go out on a winter camp. By all the gear, I mean the big four of wild camping. So to me, that is your tent, your rucksack, your sleeping bag and your sleeping mat. I wanted to get the whole lot for less than £100. One of the rules I set myself was that it had to be decent gear, proper wild camping gear. It couldn't be like an ex-festival tent for a £5, or you know, a cheap sleeping bag. So I went on Wish and AliExpress, and even the stuff on there would have blown my budget. So of course I went on eBay. The first thing I bought was an OEX Bobcat tent, which for £40 I was over the moon with. I made an offer and it was accepted. And the OEX Bobcat is fast becoming the wild camping tent, especially in terms of price and budget. Then I got a Coleman rucksack for £15. Now I knew Coleman through their tents and gas canisters and lanterns. I didn't know that they made rucksacks, but I was really pleased with this. For £15 it is a really good rucksack. I suspect it was an ex-Duke of Edinburgh rucksack because the seller bundled it with not only the rucksack, a robust looking dry bag, one of those silver blanket things, an orange bivvy bag and even a compass, all for £15. It's a really well thought out rucksack. It's got a 50-litre main compartment, it's got a floating lid with a zip pocket, and in addition to the main compartment it's got this extra compartment here that's partially mesh, which you can easily put a full tent in, and on top of that it's got another zipped compartment to fit in pegs or snacks or whatever you want. And the zips have got these really big zip pulls on, so you can easily manipulate them with gloves or mittens on. It's got large mesh pockets on either side and enough straps so you can put ice axes or walking poles on, and it's got one hip pocket on the side. All in all, I'm pretty impressed with this rucksack. The next thing I bought was a Mountain Hardware synthetic sleeping bag, the Fuji, made with Thermalite, which is supposedly rated down to -5. And then I managed to pick up an Alpkit Dumo sleeping mat for £15. So all in all, buying the big four cost me exactly, and that's not bad. But I've got to test it now. We'll see what it's like. It's December, it's winter now. Yesterday this whole area is blanketed with snow, but it's been a bit of a thaw. But it's still forecast for -1 tonight, and it's constantly raining, so the gear's going to get a good workout. I'd be lying if I said I didn't have some concerns about testing out, you know, untried gear in winter in the hills. So as a belt and braces approach, I've also got my Montane down hat, which I don't normally wear in public for obvious reasons. I've got a Montane down gilet, I've got some warm socks, and I brought an X-Ped closed cell foam mat in case the Dumo isn't warm. And actually I don't think the Dumo has an R rating. I don't think it has got any sort of like heat reflectivity at all, but it looks comfortable enough. there's quite a lot to like about this tent. Most single pole tents have got the hoop along the short axis, but this tent, the pole goes along the long axis, which has got the result of giving you a bit more headroom at either side. But of course the poles are longer, so it does make the tent a little bit heavier. And it's got this other feature that I've never really seen in a tent before. It's got an extension of the inner, which covers the vestibule. It's almost like a half footprint, and that's such a good idea. I don't know why I haven't seen it before, and I wonder if more tents are gonna, have that feature in future. Another great feature of this tent is that you can unzip the whole of the side and tuck it away in a little mesh pocket here, nice and tidy, and it gives you a great view and it gives you loads of fresh air. And condensation being what it is, even though it's raining, I've got this little flap here that I think will keep me dry. I'm going to try and leave the door open if I can all night. We'll see. And when I say it gives you great views, take a look at what I can see here. Unfortunately, the Dumo doesn't fit any of the schnozzles or little mini pumps that I've got, so you've got to pump it up CPR style, and there's not a lot of room in this tent to do that in the rain. That took nearly 100 compressions. If that was real CPR, you'd have rotated somebody in by now. But for all it was a pain to put up, it looks pretty thick and it fits the tent exactly. Feels pretty comfortable. And let's see what the Mountain Hardwear Fuji looks like. I better put the light on because it's getting dark now. The sleeping bag looks pretty reasonable. It smells nice. My wife was so appalled that I bought a second-hand sleeping bag. She immediately washed it and tumbled it. But the only flaw I've seen is it's got, I didn't notice this before I packed it, it's got a bit of sewn coming away here, but that's an easy fix. It's got a baffle in, it's got some zipped pockets, it's got all the usual features, it's got a hood. It weighs 1.45 kilograms. And I think for 22 quid, I'm not complaining about that, as long as it keeps us warm tonight. Well, the water is starting to drip onto the semi-footprint, so much of my plan of keeping the door open, I'm going to have to close this. So I've just been sitting here by myself with my down hat on, getting cosy, and absolutely pouring with rain outside. You can probably hear it, and there's no views to speak of. I'm basically sitting in a cloud. You can occasionally see a few lights in the valley below when it clears, but there's nothing to look at. But it's really nice to be out anyway. But good news, I've just had a text off my really good friend Silky Nick. He's been working up in the Cheviot Hills today. I won't say exactly where, but he's been dropped off on the way back home by his wife, and he's climbing up the hill now to meet us. So I've got the light on so he can find me, and in a few minutes I'll have a bit of company. I'll have a brew with him. Good stuff. Hi guys, absolutely wicked out here like we thought, and but here's the man himself turned up.
Hello. Out of the wilderness.
Yeah, it's pretty miserable up here, but it's great to be out, and I've got company now, so I'll hop in to get his tent up and we'll get a brew. This is most welcome. It's really hot. Blimey. I'll let it cool down a bit. There's no clever cooking tonight, folks. I'm just reheating a lovely beef stew that my lovely wife made us, and And even better for a treat, I've got a brownie homemade by the fair hand of my lady. So I'm looking forward to that. And now I'm in the tent. It's so horrible outside. I'm not going back out. I've had me hot chocolate, chatting to Nick outside his tent, and I think he's in for the night as well. And it's getting late. It's 5:45. So that's the state of things. We're stuck in the tents probably for another 12 hours. Not a problem, because I love being in a tent. This stew looks really good. So looking forward to this. Time to get these wet boots off and dry socks on. Here's a tip for you: never go to a Geordie doctor with knee pain. I went in and said, "Doctor, I've got knee pain," and she went, "Well, what are you doing here then?" Can't help myself. Morning guys, slept really poorly last night, woke up nearly every hour and it just lashed down all of the time. It never stopped raining. And this morning Nick got up at 6:30 to pack his gear because he's got to be at work. So it's 7 o'clock now. I've had to put on my wet boots and a damp mountain smock and pack away my tent at 7 o'clock on a freezing damp Northumbrian hillside in December. And this is what we do it all for. I'm having a great time. Nick, how was your night?
Comfortable. Not wet.
What was the secret of being comfortable?
A nice down bag and a nice bit of bed and a bit to drink.